I know why you guys are clicking on this video. Obviously, you saw the thumbnail. It wasn't because of my face, it's because of Josh. You saw Josh on the thumbnail and was like, you know, this might be a clickbait, it might not be a clickbait. Well, I got news for you, it is not, alright? After I saw the recent YCS wrap up with Josh taking another victory with a deck that he just built overnight apparently, or picked up on Friday the couple days before. I mean, just slapped a wig of Yugi on top of the guy. You know, he's clearly the protagonist of this whole show of life that we're living in Yu-Gi-Oh! The guy is great. He's a fantastic duelist. So I thought I would reach out to him and, you know, collaborate. Why not make Tellarknight great? Because it's 2023 and I'm tired of this deck being put in the rogue category when it clearly belongs in the tier. Alright, it's a tier 2 with a tier 1 potential. Why? Because no other deck can turn skip the way that this deck does, and does it consistently. Welcome guys to my channel. My name is Tellarknight and we are doing an updated 2023 end of the year Tellarknight deck profile. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, leave a like, comment down below what is your favorite Tellarknight build and how long have you been a fan of mine. Now, before we go to the deck profile, let's ring up our friend Josh and get him on the line for you. Alright. Hey Josh, how's it going?
Who is this?
It's me, Tellarknight.
Who are you?
What do you mean? You're so funny.
Hey man,
Yeah.
where did you get this number?
Okay.
Keep calling me, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm too busy, bro. Stop calling
Yeah,
me.
I miss you too.
You listen to me, punk. You keep
Okay, so we will not be doing the deck profile with Josh. He appears to be busy, but he sends his regards. He says this is the deck that he thinks is the optimal version of it anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and speak on both of our behalf. So let's go into the monster lineup, guys. I'll go ahead and explain these cards to you as well. If you have not played Tellarknight, I feel sorry for you. Missing out on the best deck to date. Best concept as well. 3 copies of your best new card, and that is your Tellarknight Liren. Upon summon, this card lets you add a Tellarknight spell card from your deck to your hand, which is a very great card because it makes your Skybridge searchable and it makes your Tellarknight searchable. It's a chainable card, so it's used to technically block Ash Blossom, in which it comes pretty handy if you summon it off another Tellarknight. So that you run 3 copies of that, and then you run 1 copy of Tellarknight the Neb. Now the Neb is an interesting card because back in 2015 this card used to be a staple at 3, but that's because normal summoning was a thing back in the day and now apparently it's not. So we run 1 copy because this is kind of your second best normal summon now that I think about it, because in its place you're gonna run 2 copies of Unukalai, which is a better normal summon in my opinion. At least you get Graveyard Live with it when you summon it off. Upon summon, it's a Foolish Burial, and if you sequence it right with Tellarknight Liren, you can chain Unukalai as a Chain Link 1 and Liren as a Chain Link... No wait, chain Liren as a Chain Link 2 and Unukalai as a Chain Link 1. With Unukalai, you can dump your copy of Alteran, and with Liren summoning, Alteran can special summon itself. Pro tip number 1. There you go, guys. Liren is the number 1 target, guys. Perfect sequence into that is going to be the one that you're going to want to dump off with Unukalai, which will kind of make it live from the graveyard, because this is the one that you want in there whenever you summon a Tellarknight, because upon summon she gets to pop cards on the field based off the number of light and dark XC monsters you control. You can do this during your opponent's turn to clear their field when they least expect it. Okay, so 3 copies is not mandatory, 1 is good enough because you obviously dump it off of Unukalai. Remember, if you do use its effect to special summon itself and pop cards onto the field, you can only attack with XC monsters for the rest of that turn, so be careful if you use her effect. If you're trying to OTK, I wouldn't recommend using her on the following turn. The way you can bring her out is with any summoning normal Tellarknight monsters, or you can bring it out with Altair. 1 copy of Altair is enough in this deck. It is mandatory to run this guy. You can run 1 copies or you can run 2 copies. It's really up to you. I run 1 because usually turn skip, that's all you need. You just need 1 copy of it and that's about it. This is the primary Tellarknight lineup. The sub Tellarknights that I'm running in there is 1 copy of Caduceus and 1 copy of Sheraton. No matter how you run it, guys, if you want to have a successful turn skip, Sheraton is mandatory. Not as dead in your hand as it used to be, because you can run the Stellar. They changed the name. It's not a Stellar because they didn't want to relate it to Tellarknights. The Star Killer. Star Killer is an easy overlay on top of this guy, or SP Knight with the tactics. And then Caduceus is obviously upon summon, it lets you add a Constellar spell or trap. I believe spell only. Let's see. Oh, spell or trap. Luckily, they're unlucky for us. There is no good trap cards to add from deck to hand, unless they make the counter trap searchable, which will be great. So that's it for the primary Tellarknight / Constellar engine. It doesn't look like much, but trust me when I say this is all that you're gonna need. And let's hop into the next engine that I swear by, and I still till this day I still run, is the Super Heavy Samurai engine. Let me explain, okay? I know it can be bricky if you draw the big Benkei, and that's okay, because the payoff of this makes this deck a tier 2 deck at best, okay? This deck thrives on turn skipping, and I know I shied away from it before, but I'm here to tell you that's the way you want to go, and this makes it all possible. The only way you go into turn skip is if you're running Baron, okay? And with this engine you can do that. So 3 bikes is mandatory. Not only does it unlock XCs in your deck, but you can also go into your synchros, which is great, which gives us deck versatility, which it didn't have before. 3 copies of Wakashi. Wakashi is a great card because usually you want to lead off with this, and that usually baits a lot of negates. It can bait out Nibiru all by itself without you fully committing to your normal summon. I've gone turns where I didn't even require a normal summon, which is mind-blowing considering that's what Tellarknights used to thrive on. So 3 copies of Wakashi is amazing, and then you're running 1 copy of your booster and 1 copy of your big Benkei. If there's a way to bring out Motorbike from your deck to your hand, please let me know in the comments down below, because I really want to focus on getting Baron out as soon as possible, because that makes the turn skip unstoppable. Okay, so this is the Super Heavy Samurai engine, and a little pressure that this deck is managing to apply now is with a Kashtira engine. Okay, this is the final engine piece, I promise. 3 copies of Kashtira Fenrir and 1 copy of Ricehard. Fenrir is a great card by itself. Throwing Ricehard there, that is searchable, free level 4 body on the field, and the only thing it does is it locks you into XC summoning. However, if you pendulum summon it, that's no longer the case. So what you normally want to do, and I'll demonstrate this in test hands, give me about maybe 20 likes, let's say, on this video, and I'll do a test hand combo video guide for you guys, showing you how all of this works, okay? Honestly, like, I can't tell you how consistent this deck is and how amazing it runs. Now for the hand trap lineup, you are running your 3 copies of Ash Blossom. I know you guys didn't see any imperms in there, and that's for a reason. That's because you want to keep your Super Heavy Samurai engine as live as possible for as long as you can. That's why I run 3 copies of Valor. Great going second card. Obviously, you might want to side it out going first, but the reason I play this is, again, it serves almost the same as Imperm. I know you're walking into tactics, but that's okay. Like I said, it's more valuable that your Super Heavy Samurai engine stays live than it dies because you decided to pitch Imperm. So that's it for the monster lineup, guys. Let's move on into the spell and trap. Spoiler alert, there is no trap. 1 copy of Skybridge, great card, dodges their Imperms or Valors or anything that targets, essentially, like a Fenrir. Okay, so 1 copy of Skybridge, 2 copy of Constellar Tellarknights. The reason I run 2 instead of 1 is because it's a great follow-up card when your field somehow gets cleared on turn 1. You can use the 2nd copy of Constellar Tellarknights to reborn your diamond and then slap Constellar Tellarknight Trigger on top and clean their field, non-targeting, bounce everything, and then you're right back into the game. So 3 copies of that. The only Tellarknight spells and traps that I play in this deck. Unfortunately, the trap card is not searchable. If you guys want to run it, you can. I, however, do not recommend it. 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Might cut this card. I don't know. It's back and forth with this card. You know, it thins out my extra deck, which I'm not a fan of, but I know I've strategized the perfect way to do it. That way my deck doesn't hurt that much. And it adds consistency, which is, I mean, pretty good, unless you're haven't drawn any Super Heavy Samurais and then you have this in your hand. That's the only time that you'll play it. 1 copy of Raidsoth, because it's essentially an additional Fenrir. You don't need more than one copy. We got 2 copies of Thrust, because trust me, you need this card. It's a great card, can search your pot or can search your talent. 1 copy of talent is good enough. I also main Change of Heart. Change of Heart is a great card going second in case you lose the die roll. And then 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army. So those are the usual targets of Thrust. I don't know. I feel great about that card. It usually searches talent most of the time, and it's a really good combo piece going first. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's move on to the extra deck, okay? The extra deck consists of 2 Constellar Caduceus. I've kind of flirted with just having 1 in the deck. However, I realized that 2 is mandatory because of the clapback on your next turn. It gets to recycle a lot of resources. I don't run Sirius in here because it's a brick unless you draw it late game, and you don't want to see it that early. So great effects on this guy, man. It makes Tellarknights very, very good. Upon summon, it recycles 1 Constellar and 1 Teller from your graveyard back into your deck your extra deck or in your hand. And then it can detach a material and banish a card from your deck and banish a Tellarknight card or Constellar and copy its effect. That effect cannot be Ash Blossomed because it's something that already occurred. If that makes any sense. I don't know, check the ruling, guys. I'm not gonna sit here and explain all of it to you. 1 copy of Dark Tellarknight Battle Mist. This is usually what I want to end on if I'm facing a non-dark deck, because this plus Diamond is usually a game unless they have Super Polymerization, which is a lot of tier element players run nowadays. So I'm really cautious against my matchups. 1 copy of Deltaros. The only reason this guy is here is because I can't use this guy for some reason to attach to Ptolemaeus as a 3rd material because technicality of the name. So that's the whole reason Deltaros in here. I'm sorry, Deltaros, I don't mean to bash you, but that's the only reason you're in here for now. If you are running the heavier Link version of it, obviously he's a great card for for, you know, non-stop looping of his effect. But if you are moving the desk too much, but if you are not using that effect, then it's just an attachment and you're not really going into it. 1 copy of Trevor, just too good on the turn 3. This is your usually killer. This is what you go into when your field gets wiped somehow. 1 copy of Ptolemaeus. Your turn skip, your automatic turn skip, man. This card's fantastic. I don't know why they took it off the ban list. I thought it was a great idea. So, great card. You got 1 copy of your Satellar Constellar Diamond. This is your boss monster. This is what usually you want to go into turn 1. Locks out a lot of decks, slaps Branded in the face, slaps Tier Elements in the face. If I know I'm playing tiers, I'll probably end up with these 2 instead of Dark Tellarknight, just because I don't want to give him a Super Poly target. So 1 copy of your Pleiades. This is usually if there's too much uncertainty turn 1 and you don't want to go into Diamond, you can go Pleiades, bounce back some of your stuff and then bounce their cards during their turn. It's a lot of thinking going on before I make this guy. 1 copy of Ptolemy. This is the opposite of Constellar Diamond. Usually just used as a step up for Diamond as an extra material. I wish it had a better use. It's a great looking card, but unfortunately it's not that useful in today's day of age. Now for the more generic board wipes, we have Evil Swarm Exciton. I can bring this guy out without even committing to any of my engine. Just bring it out with a super heavy Samurai. That's 2 level 4s. You force them to respond. If they don't, their board is wiped. If they do, then you just still have your main engine to go into. Speaking of board wipe, after you finish wiping them with the Exciton Knight, you just slap Zeus on top, and that's a free another board wipe in case they try to be funny. Okay, and let's wrap this up with a little versatility, shall we? Frame Lord Omega is what I like to go into if I don't have Bike in the graveyard. Omega is another card that is a very good interruption. The reason I want to make this card is if I want to reset Wakashi as a scale to be able to pendulum summon if I have a lot of Tellarknights in hand, or you know, other level 4s. Even Fenrir falls into that category, by the way. And second of all, you get to rip out a card out of their hand, banish it, and it gives you visual of what your opponent is playing, so that way you can actually play properly. So I think this is a very good card. I've never actually debated taking this card out of the deck. I think it belongs in here, and it's a very good versatile card. It banishes a card face up, and it can revive itself back into the extra deck if it hits the graveyard. So I swear I ripped the nib out of a guy's hand turn 1, and that was just golden. I went for a turn skip after that. Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This is your gateway to your Baron de Flo. This is the one you want to go into if you're trying to go for a turn skip. And just in general, a very powerful level 10 Omni Negate. And then one SP Little Knight just for versatility. It's a standard. Every deck runs, and their mother runs SP Little Knight at this point. I highly suggest you guys do as well. Triple tactics, you take it, you slap this on top, and you're GG most of the time. That's it for the extra deck. Let's go into your side deck. The side deck is subject to change. This is what I'm running right now. This is what works for me. We got 3 copies of Nibiru, the Primal Being. A lot of people are maining this card, not me. Why? Because I don't like drawing this card at all. Especially going blind first. Okay, we got Triple Dimension Shifter. This card is the best hand trap in the game. Kills a lot of decks, not my deck, doesn't hurt my deck. The only thing it does to our deck is it stops the turn skip, but that's okay because you can go a different route with it. You can main deck this if you want. It makes your super heavy samurais live even more, if that makes any sense, because bike, you can just pitch it. It doesn't say to the graveyard, it just says send it from your hand. So, or discard this hand. So Shifter doesn't hurt this deck as much as people think. It hurts this card, however, and that's Droll and Lockbird. I usually don't like siding these guys in together. Sometimes I'd have to, but I hate seeing both of them in hand at the same time. So Droll and Lockbird is a main deck worthy card. I side it for now because I have a lot of other options that I like to run. For the spell cards, we have Herald of the Abyss because I want to say Melfi's. I'm not even going to acknowledge that kitty deck, whatever it's called. Falafels, Truffles, Melfi's. Keep saying Melfi's. I'll just say Melfi's. It outs Noir purely. There you go, purely Noir. It outs purely Noir. That's why it's in there. Okay, we got 1 copies of Harpy's Feather Duster against those pesky runic players. 1 copies of Dark Ruler No More for the combo decks. 2 very underrated spell cards is the Deck Lockdown, guys. This card is amazing. It shuts down so many decks. Not to mention, if you have Pleiades on the field, you can keep reusing this card during your standby phase. Just bounce it back and then with Pleiades and activate it again. For trap cards, we have 1 Evenly Matched and 1 Debarrier. You play 1 of each a lot of these normal and spells because you are running Thrust in your main. Okay, so that's it for the extra deck, and that's it for the deck profile. I will be making a combo video if this video gets 20 likes, which I'm sure it will. You guys are suckers for this kind of videos, and I love making them for you because I am a very passionate Tellarknight player, and you guys are very passionate Tellarknight viewers, if that makes any sense. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button. Join my Discord, guys. Also, I am not ashamed to say, I'm happy to say that I'm actually on TikTok now. I'm making reels. I know you guys are enjoying my reels. They're pretty funny, and I'm looking forward to making more of those for you guys in the near future. Until then, you guys have a good night, and Merry Christmas.